another segment of Chicago Radio Live.
You're frozen.
Radio Legends on the YouTube channel. I want to thank the viewers for connecting, subscribing, and things of that sort, and even sharing and commenting. We have a goal. We actually are going to conduct a drive where, excuse me, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers. We're not even at the halfway point, but I believe that we can get it done. Hopefully we can do that in, I would say, a couple weeks. So you'll be seeing my face quite a bit on social media pushing that drive. The second thing, some of you don't know and some do know, I have a virtual broadcast school. It's called World Communication Institute, where we teach podcasting, news, voiceover. Good evening. Welcome to another segment of Chicago Radio Live.
You're frozen.
Radio Legends on the YouTube channel. I want to thank the viewers for connecting, subscribing, and things of that sort, and even sharing and commenting. We have a goal. We actually are going to conduct a drive where, excuse me, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers. We're not even at the halfway point, but I believe that we can get it done. Hopefully we can do that in, I would say, a couple weeks. So you'll be seeing my face quite a bit on social media pushing that drive. The second thing, some of you don't know and some do know, I have a virtual broadcast school. It's called World Communication Institute, where we teach podcasting, news, voiceover, and we have a segment or a class called social media broadcasting. But starting the first Tuesday in July, we're going to offer a voiceover and podcasting courses, separate courses. I suggest that you go to our website, which is WCI4U.com, WCI4YOU.com. It will provide you with all the information about the courses. There will be an updated calendar, but if you're interested, please go to the website. I'll work on that calendar tonight so that you'll know exactly what days you could take the course. But it's going to begin the second Tuesday in July. All right, so this is the moment I've been waiting for. It really is. Renee, I'll say this. I've interviewed 9 others, but nobody was in news. So
Okay.
now this is my forte. I know we can have some real good banter about news stories, news segments,
Yeah.
news memories, things of that sort. But I want to do a quick bio or introduction.
Okay.
As we mentioned, you, I don't know where you started, whether it was BMX or at well, it was BMX, right? WBMX?
It was at WBMX. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
WBMX, WVON, WGCI-AM, and mostly in public affairs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
Everything was in public affairs.
yes, and I'm gonna give you a short story about my public affairs experience in a second. But then you've transitioned into being an author. You got so much on your plate here. I'm looking at Morning
Yeah, I've done a few
Drive.
things.
Yeah,
Yes.
Morning Drive to Midnight is your first novel. You've been on the board of directors of the Children's Center in Detroit. Oh, there you go. I'm looking forward to reading that.
Okay.
I'm a radio geek. I mean, what can I say? Been doing it for years, and I love the industry. Also, you're a volunteer reader in Detroit Public Schools. I don't know if you still do that or not, but that's
Mhm.
something that's on your resume, and a member of the Jack and Jill Incorporated of America. So you are a busy lady.
I've been pretty busy over the years, and
Yeah.
a couple of things that may not be on the resume. After I left radio, I didn't just go right into book writing, but I
Hmm.
started working in public relations. And
Oh, okay.
when I left radio, I went to public relations and at People's Gas,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
then moved away from Chicago, and at that point just started working at advertising agencies around the country.
Now
And
you
then
are a native Chicagoan. Is that correct?
I am a native Chicagoan. That
Okay.
is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I did promise you I would share this story with you.
Okay.
Um, I was hired in Cleveland, I think it was 1989. WJMO, uh, you might know this guy. I worked with him. He was the morning man. Ray Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Cooper was the morning man.
I
He
worked with
also worked
Ray.
at
Yeah.
BMX, yes.
Yeah.
And
Our Ray in the morning.
yes, indeed. I'm still in contact with him. He has a podcast, he and some other crew members. So I was hired, and this is where I first cut my teeth in news. I was hired at WJMO AM. Steve Harris was the program director.
I
Rest
worked
in
with
peace.
Steve. Yep.
Yes. And my duties involve anchoring in the midday, reporting at City Hall every other Monday, I believe, and I had a public affairs show.
Wow.
And it was a live call-in show. Do you know, Renee, I was not prepared. I had notes, I had topics,
Yeah.
and that was the longest 1 hour ever because nobody called in. They probably said, this guy is not even from Cleveland. He's talking about stuff that we're not interested in. I learn the newsmakers, learn the hot topics, and you'll get reaction or responses.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Familiarity. Yes.
and so what happened is the phone lines started to light up because I was hitting the hot topics. I had to know who the newsmakers were. I worked there for about a year, and yeah, it was called Cleveland Heights Forum. So it was on
Okay.
for an hour. And yeah, that was my welcome to public affairs experience.
Well, but look at you now. I mean, we all had to start somewhere,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
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 No doubt. No doubt. Now let's talk about BMX. I was a big fan of Sunday Morning Live on WBMX.
Yes.
Um, and I remember your name as the host of the show. There were a lot of things going on in Chicago probably around that time. Were you in, were you working when it was the Harold Washington era, or was
Yes.
that before? I would love to hear
Oh,
about that.
yeah. Well, I was out of radio by the time Harold Washington became mayor,
Oh, okay.
but I interviewed Harold Washington several times because he was the state congressman, right? And but I started at WBMX as a secretary.
Oh,
I
really?
Yes, I started as a secretary. I was going to Columbia College,
Mm-hmm.
and Columbia College wasn't even accredited. I'm really dating myself now.
Wow.
It wasn't even
Okay.
accredited. It was in a building on Wabash Avenue, and we had to walk up to like the classes were on the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth floors. And it was this one little rinky-dink elevator, but everybody just took the steps. And but I had always wanted to be a newspaper reporter.
Oh, really?
It was right after that time when Woodward and Bernstein, discovered the Watergate break-in.
Oh, wow.
And so I got I got the bug because everybody wanted to be an investigative reporter. But I was listening to your show that you did with um, Richard
Richard Steele?
Richard Steele, and you asked him about um, starting in smaller markets and then moving up to larger markets.
Yeah.
And what people were telling me is that if you want to be a reporter, you need to leave Chicago and go
Mm-hmm.
to a smaller market. Now, people in Chicago, we don't leave Chicago,
I
right?
did.
Well,
I'm one of the ones.
okay. Well, I didn't want to do that.
I
And
understand.
so I met some people who had gotten internships at radio stations, and I just started calling around radio stations, and I met I think it was his name was Pat Washington. He was the news director at WBMX. And he
Hmm.
says, I don't have, a position for a news person, but Ernest James is hiring a secretary.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm a huge believer of, getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And so I started there as his secretary, you know, setting up meetings with the promotion people that came in. They would actually bring the albums to the stations and ask Ernest to play certain hits and to get in a better rotation, with the music and things like that. So I set up those meetings. Um, I called all the record stores. And this is
Hmm.
so crazy because now, we have all these algorithms
Yeah.
um, for music. How is the public responding to the music? But back in the day, I called 15 radio stations a week. I'm sorry, 15 record stores a week.
Yeah.
Record stores, right?
Yeah. What
And
is
I would
that?
ask them, yeah, right? 45s, albums. And I would ask them what was selling over the weekend. What's your best sellers? And of course, I had the list, and they had to give it, a number of between 1 and 5. Okay, how did the Supreme sell this week? You know,
Hmm.
1 to 5, and it's like 3. And I would add all that up, and then I would give that to Ernest, and he would decide how to put the music in rotation every
That's
hour.
that's amazing. You know why? Because we need to understand how things work before technology really kicked
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
And it wasn't easy. I
no,
mean, of course, you can attest to that. I mean, you had to call 15 record stores,
yes.
and not
And,
everybody
and
answered every time you call either.
no, it took a while. It took a while to get that report, but he wanted the report, by 12 noon on Monday. So, that was my primary job.
Yeah.
The other part of the job was we would give away albums at the top of the hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But someone had to mail those albums out. And when I first went in there, the reception area was just full of boxes of albums
Oh,
that had
wow.
not been mailed out. And so I just started systematically writing out the labels. We bought the mailers, putting the albums in there, and you know, mailing the albums.
And so you
And
basically made your own method or system.
yes, yes, because there were a couple of people that tried to do it before, and it just didn't work out. Well, also during that time, Elijah Mitchell had become the news director. You remember him?
I remember the name.
Okay.
Yes.
And Elijah Mitchell was also doing the talk show. And so I became his producer.
Oh, wow. I
Um,
could see how you elevated. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because when you it's when you start when you start in a business like that, people are
Mm-hmm.
throwing everything at you.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as that's not my job description.
Right.
I hear that young people are actually saying that to their bosses today. It still throws me back. I mean, not in your job description. Um, because in radio, if they were paying you, everything was in your job description. And so I started producing his Sunday morning talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was absent one Sunday, and I got a call. You've already lined up the guests. How quickly can you get to the radio station? And from that point forward, I became his co-host, and the rest, as they say, is history. And that's how I
Wow.
started on the. That's how I started on the air.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah,
I
and
want to go
you
back to I want to go
said,
back to what you mentioned about young people stating that's not my job description. And I remember you mentioning something about you did a 4-hour show.
yes,
Well,
yeah,
now in the industry, there are on-air personalities. Well, I'm on-air talent. They're not
you're
personalities
right,
anymore.
right.
On-air talent that they not only work 4 hours on their shift, but they're doing, what do you call that? Tracking, where they're in another market as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there could be a person that's doing the Chicago midday show, but they're doing the midday show in Nashville under the iHeart umbrella.
Okay,
Or they could have a third station.
yeah.
I mean, so there's so
Would
what's
be called the
happening?
syndication? Is that what you're talking about? The
No,
syndication? No.
no, because
Okay.
iHeart has so many radio stations and they're cutting costs by having one person handle two duties. And
Wow.
everything's recorded. So it's not live. So that doesn't make it as complicated.
Okay.
And see, what I miss about radio when I started was everything was live. Just like with you, everything was live. There was no recording unless necessary or unless emergency. But now everything's recorded. So, matter of
Yeah,
fact,
we were on that 5-second delay,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You know, I remember working a 4-hour shift and going home. That was it.
Yeah.
But most people, I mean, they've turned my duties into an 8-hour job
Mm.
because not
Hmm.
only so anyone getting into the industry now, they have to be able to do more than one thing. So I anchor in the morning, but in the midday, I write for the wire service for the station. So
No
I'm writing
kidding.
summaries for not just Chicago, but for Minnesota. So they're getting the most out of everybody. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just
So
the way the industry is now.
I hope they're paying you for an 8-hour day.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
they are. They are.
okay.
But I was
Because
getting paid the same amount for 4 hours though. You know what I'm saying? So Maybe it's a little more. Let me change that. It's
Well,
a little
and
more.
also back in the day, we had unions. Okay.
Yeah,
And
we
so
got
the
that now.
union, okay, so the union said, this is how many hours they have to work. This is how many breaks they have to have.
Yeah.
Because I think back then, you couldn't work on the air more than 4 hours a day, um, without, an hour break or
Yeah.
something like
That
that.
makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. And that was my experience. So when I left WBMX, and then I went to WVON and I took over the Wesley South show
Oh, okay.
hotline. They had a
Very
great
popular
lead.
show.
Yes, yes. Wesley South had been on, for a very, very long time. And I think he had left because he bought the radio station, and so he was really running the radio station, and he
Hmm.
he decided not to be an on-air talent any longer.
Now, wasn't
And
he
so,
one of the original good guys?
yes, he was.
Okay. I just
Yes,
want to
he
make
was.
sure I'm educating others and I'm confirming for myself. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, he was one of the good guys. And of course, I grew up listening to the good guys. E. Rodney Jones, Bill Butterball Crane,
Herb
Herb
Kent.
Kent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course, Herb Kent. So I grew up listening to all those people, and also listening to Wesley South, and to get a job and actually sit in the studio, sit in his chair, and conduct the talk show. I just thought I had died and gone to heaven. It was
Wow.
wonderful. It was
That's
wonderful.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
Any
was
any
wonderful.
great memories of um those times, at least maybe at least a couple if you can?
Yeah. Um, So on WBMX, what I really liked about working with WBMX, we were really in the community. We
Mm,
were we started broadcasting live in the community, and that had never really been done before. I think WLS was doing something like that,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but there were, there was the Black radio stations were WVON, WBMX. I don't know. I can't remember if WJPC was. I think WJPC was around at that time too. So everybody was
Yeah.
competing for the audience.
And
And
GCI
so,
probably had a presence.
yeah, yeah. Um, Not a big presence because when I started in radio, FM didn't have a big presence. Everything
Okay,
was AM, right?
okay,
I
okay.
mean, FM was um, where people would go to buy radio time, and they would always have the vampire guy was always on, and just the really weird people would buy like an hour's worth of radio
Okay.
time. So when Sonderling Broadcasting came in and bought WBMX, he got rid of all of the, selling of the airtime. And that's when he started programming to compete with
Oh, okay.
with the AM radio stations that were really, really hot at that time. But AM was really cool. But you drive under those viaducts,
Oh yeah, you'll lose it.
you,
You'll lose the signal.
you lose the signal. And then people started saying, "Oh, you don't lose the signal with FM, right?"
Yeah.
So, but we did a lot of community stuff. I remember, I may have mentioned this to you, but um, I was in high school when Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were murdered by the police
Yeah.
that had raided their Black Panther headquarters on the West Side. I was in high school when that happened, and we walked out and everything, during that time. And but then as an adult, when the investigation had ended and his wife was suing the city of Chicago, I had her on my show a couple of times, and she
Hmm.
always brought little Fred.
Yeah.
And he was like 8 or 9 years old, and he was just playing. She was talking about, how they were raising the money and what was going on with the lawsuit and things like that. and her and little Fred was just in the studio, just playing with his trucks. You know, we had to ask him to be quiet a couple times, but he was there. So I thought I thought that was pretty cool. Um, we would have Jesse Jackson on
Okay.
practically every week. I had Jesse Jackson on a lot on WBMX, and also when I moved over to WGCI. Because Operation Push was such a big part of Chicago. Operation Push, Black Expo, uh,
Yeah.
and people would come in for entertainment, especially at the Black Expo, and we we crossed the lines between news and entertainment. I mean, they were coming on the talk show to talk about the importance of economic development in Chicago. So I remember we talked to Donna Summer. We had Boys to Men in the studio. Um, Teddy Pendergrass came through, very, very
Wow.
shy. He was very shy. This was after he left Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. But I just, but those folks that came in to talk to the DJs, they would also come back on Sunday and talk to me, or they would call in.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, so those are so that's what I remember about WBMX and WVON. And then um, when I went to WGCI, I got a call, and I do believe WLS. No, there was a news station. What was the news station?
What,
Yeah,
MAQ?
yeah, WMAQ.
Yeah.
And so they did talk at night. And I was
Oh, okay.
always saying, we should have that in the Black community. We need more than 1 hour,
Hmm.
you know, a night, 11 o'clock, 11 to 12 o'clock at night. We need more than just a few hours on Sunday. And so when I believe Ernest left WBMX and went over to WGCI FM, and then they took over WGCI-AM, and I came over, and that's when I was able to do a 4-hour talk show every night
Wow.
of the week, Monday
Wow.
through Friday,
Now,
Monday
was
through
that
Friday,
late night or?
8 to midnight.
Oh, wow. That's that. You can't get too much later than that.
8 to midnight, and I did that for like 3 years. Yeah, 8 to midnight. Yeah. So, interviewed a lot of people, everybody that came to Chicago, you know, because people liked doing talk shows. I think they
Yeah.
still do. I think they still do.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
do.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
enjoying this now, even with you. I mean, coming
yeah.
on and not just you, but everyone that I've reached out to, they gladly accepted. They always have something to share. And hey, I just want people to get their flowers. I really do. I
Yeah.
really do because and it also educates young people about what radio was really like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the one thing that you mentioned that stood out to me that's consistently mentioned by everyone I've interviewed is how back in the day, how radio in Chicago, especially African American radio, was so community based.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not just the remotes, but they had, well, I remember at GCI when I was there was a van that was out in different communities
Yeah.
every single day, from the west side to the south side, some places on the north side actually. But that van was out hitting different communities. It was so strategic, where they would
Yeah.
give out T-shirts and keychains and yeah, all type of things. And they had
Yeah.
a promotional team that went out there and did that. And that was part of the community part. But the one part that I enjoyed was anytime there was a major issue, it
Mm-hmm.
was addressed
Right.
by all the jocks, by all the definitely public affairs handled it because it was a news issue. But even all the on-air talent they handled it as well.
Exactly, exactly. I remember I was trying to remember, some of our bigger shows, and I remember a gentleman named Wallace Davis, who was um, a victim of police brutality
The
in
alderman.
Chicago.
Yeah, he became alderman.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, after that. Yeah. Yeah,
He
I
did
remember
after
Wallace
that.
Davis.
Yes. And we did a radiothon for him because his hospital bills were just phenomenal. They were
Wow.
just, it was, he really got beat up terribly. And we, Danny Davis was
Mm-hmm.
his alderman at the time. And Danny was on the radio and he was talking about, it's, we were talking about ending police brutality. I mean, this was back in the 70s, in the 70s. We're talking about police abuse,
Yeah.
much the same way as we're talking about it today. And Danny Davis was, adamant. The mayor had to make some changes. The Chicago Police Department had to make some changes. And we did this radiothon. It was it went from Friday night until Sunday morning. It was, around the clock.
Wow.
And we raised thousands and thousands of dollars to help pay his hospital bills. And you're right. After then, he did. He ran for alderman. He
And
did.
won. And
Yeah.
won. I
Yeah.
don't know if he served 2 terms. I know he was in there for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um,
we did a lot of things like that. We always did things with Operation Push. We always, the nonprofit organizations were always asking me and some of the DJs to be the MC at events
oh
because
wow.
they knew if they asked us, we would talk about the event on the air. It's a little
Yeah.
different today.
Yeah.
Today, they're telling you, well, you still have to make a radio buy. But back then, we had the public service announcements where the FCC said we had to do like, 2 minutes of public service announcements
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
every hour.
Yeah.
Um, when I was when I was on the air, and I was also doing some news as I was producing the talk show. We would do news 5 minutes at the top of the hour, every hour.
Wow.
And we would talk about what was going on in the community, as well as the national news. And then not only did we have 5 minutes at the top of the hour, but we had 30 seconds at the bottom of each hour to do like a news teaser. This is what's coming up in the next hour. I know we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I was about to say that was a tease for me because I get all of 40 seconds. Now I do have one newscast that's a minute and 20 seconds, and I
Okay.
and I
You talk
and
fast.
I enjoy that. But
Yeah.
that's that one newscast I really look forward to. But the 40 seconds, that's really limited. But then again, it's a music intensive station. So they're going to play get the commercials in. They're going to um make sure that the DJ has time to talk, play the music. Okay, 40 seconds of news. So I've learned how to do the USA Today version where I'm giving you one story, but I'm giving you all the facts within that 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't leave any meat of it out. So yeah, just interesting. But then there was a time when I was handling news duties for WIND
Hmm.
and WLS, which are
Oh,
talk stations. So they give you 3 minutes or 4 minutes. And I was like, okay, I gotta be able to breathe. So I'm gonna play some sound bites. That gives me a chance to breathe. So there's a science to it, as you know.
yeah.
Uh, and I enjoyed being able to do that for 3 to 4 minutes. So,
And
but
and one of the
yeah,
other things we did, because like I said, I was also doing the news. We went out and we did interviews,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
would come back in the studio and put the tape on the tape
Hmm.
machine, play it back
Now you talking about the real to real now, right?
to reel, splice it,
Yes, yes.
tape it together, splice out the ums and everything, and
Hmm.
part of the statement that you don't want. You know, a lot of what same thing like you're doing on your phones now, you know, when you're
Yeah.
editing a video. But yeah, we would splice it, put that tape back to
Oh
tape it
yeah.
together,
Oh yeah.
you know, turn the
Mm-hmm.
wheels, line up the story, report a story, hit play, and you had the voiceover to go with your story.
That's true. That's true. I remember that. Remember it so well. Yeah.
Yes. That
Time
was
definitely has
before
changed.
automation.
Oh yeah. I did get a chance to work at GCI when they had typewriters. So they were on the way out, but they had
Yeah.
typewriters. So that's
Okay.
interesting. That's interesting. So let's shift a little bit.
Okay.
You said you went once you left radio, you went into what, marketing
Yeah, I went
or
into
promotion?
public
Oh,
relations.
public relations.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
hired by People's Gas. Um, and I understand they're still right there on Michigan Avenue. I was hired by People's Gas in their public relations department because
Mm,
at that time there was no corporate responsibility, you know, like today,
yeah.
where corporations feel um, a need and a responsibility to the communities where their business is located. So it wasn't a lot of that going on, and People's Gas was getting a lot of flack because they were turning People's Gas off, you know, when it's 30 degrees below zero,
Wow.
because that was their policy.
Yeah.
But they were really getting beat up by the media. And so they hired me. They decided they were going to change how they did business, and they wanted to hire me to go out and talk to the community. And I'm telling you, that was a rough job.
I can imagine all that pent up
Oh yeah, yeah,
emotion.
yeah,
And then
yes,
they see you and you're representing the company and they let
yeah,
you have it, I guess.
yeah. They let me have it, but you know, it was also my responsibility to take their comments back and to also solve problems. Like
Yeah.
today, they have like customer service that can solve the problem. You know,
They
people
have
were
an
bringing,
entire department now.
they have an
Yeah.
entire department. People were bringing me their bills, they were telling me their stories, and I would go back and I would try to help solve the problem. And so I did that for a little while, but right after then, I got married and we moved
Mm.
to Seattle, Washington, and you know, all the way across the country. And I just started working at advertising agencies. And so we were in Seattle, we went to Rochester, New York. I was in Cleveland
Hmm.
Heights. I was in Maryland, and then uh, Detroit, where I am now. And I've always worked at advertising agencies, working with different accounts, you know, always writing scripts, writing speeches, writing news releases,
Hmm.
writing advertising campaigns. And in between there, I was writing books. And
What led to that? I'm just curious.
I always wanted to write a book.
Okay.
You know, even today, I love to go and listen to an author talk. So I was always going to um, author book signings and,
Mm.
you know, telling them, yes, I'm going to write my book. Yes, I'm going to write my book. And one time I was living in Rochester, New York, and Ernest Gaines had come because he had just I think the movie was out, the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman with starring
Yes.
Cicely Tyson. And in Rochester, they were actually going to open a fountain and call it, um, you know, the Walter Mosley Fountain, named after this character in the movie as well, and in his book. So he came to town and I'm doing my usual spiel. Oh yes, I'm going to write a book one day, and I hope to be a published author. And he said to me, "No, you're not."
Oh, wow.
I was taken aback.
I would be too.
And he said, I said, oh, no, really, I'm going to write a book. He says, if you're going to write a book, you would be writing it and you wouldn't be talking about it. And I'm like, wow, I thought we were all friends here. And he, so I said, well, I am going to write a story one day. And he signed the book, and but I was part of the group that brought him in. At that time, I was a member of the Rochester Black Journalists Association, and we had brought him in. And so we had dinner with him afterwards. And of course, I was seated right next to him, and listening to all his stories about writing and everything.
Yeah.
But he gave me some very good advice. And he said, I write one page a day. He says, some days I write more than that, but you have to write every day.
Mm.
Try to write at least a page a day, because guess what? At the end of the year, you've got the first draft of your book. And to this day, that's the advice that I follow. I always try to write one page a day.
So he
And
gave you the method and you embraced it and
yeah,
you implemented it.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's when I started writing this book, From Morning Drive to Midnight. And this is a story about a woman who has 1 year to get her radio station to #1 in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Mm.
And
I'm sure there's some characters in there that are probably some real life people.
well,
I mean,
it's
not by name, but
yeah.
people that you probably have worked with and
Yeah, I do have a character in here. She has this star DJ, right?
mm-hmm.
Who is really carrying all the ratings for the station. But, you know, morning drive is like 1 day period, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you've got afternoon drive, you got evening drive. So their morning drive person, he's tearing it up.
yeah.
And I was, when I was at WBMX, I had the opportunity to work with Tom Joyner when they first brought Tom Joyner to the radio
Mm.
station. And I just remember there were so many people applying for that morning job, and Tom was like the lead. Ernest really wanted Tom, and I know they
Mm.
went into some really deep negotiations in order to get Tom, because um, none of us were really making any money back then. WBMX was not a union station. But there were other people there. James Alexander was there.
Yeah.
Ray Coop. No, Ray came after. Ray took over after um, Tom Joyner left. Um, I'm trying to remember some of the other people, but uh, I just remember. So also during this time, this is when I was trying to mail out all of those albums. Remember, I had the lobby
Yeah,
full of
yeah.
albums.
Mm-hmm.
People who had won albums like 6, 7 months ago, and they still hadn't received their albums because they were in the lobby. And but so I was coming in like 6 o'clock in the morning. My
Mm.
day really didn't start to 8:30, but I was coming in at 6 o'clock because I really didn't like this part of my job. I love producing the talk show. I even like lining up all the appointments with the promotion people, because even back then, when the promotions people came in with the music, they also came with the party, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when the acts came to town, there was always a promotion party. And
Mm.
these parties were, we had lobster, we had shrimp, we had I mean, we were at the Playboy Club, we were in these rooms, these downtown um, uh, banquet rooms, looking at the Chicago River. Um, we were really having a good time in those radio days.
Yeah,
And this was
yeah.
before the artists realized that they were paying for all of that. And so
It don't
it
happen
was
like that anymore.
no, because that was taken out of the artist royalties, right?
Mm,
All these parties, and the intention was you spend a lot of money in order to get the music played,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
anyway, um, so I was coming in, and Tom was there, and I just remember one time I came in, and Tom was playing um, a James Brown record, and there were no lights on in the building. There was a dim light in the lobby when I came in, and they always have a little window where you could see the
Hmm.
DJ in the studio.
Yeah.
Tom was in there acting like James Brown. He had a cape on. He
Oh
was
my gosh.
dancing. This is 6 o'clock
Okay.
in the morning. This is like 6:30 in the morning. Nobody's there but Tom, right? He's dancing in the studio. It's kind of like a please, please, please song or something. He's falling
Okay.
down on his knees. He's whipping the
The
cape
cape.
around, and I'm standing at the window looking at him, and he waves at me, and he just keeps dancing.
Oh, he kept on going. Okay.
But that was his energy level. That's what he brought, to
Mm,
that job as DJ. He just had all of this energy. And because he didn't have that radio voice, he never had
yeah.
that radio voice, but he really knew how to connect because of his energy, because of his humor.
Yeah.
Um, and he was just a fun guy. And so
Mm.
that's such a great memory with me seeing him. I've actually put that in the book.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
I actually
Something
put
to look
that one.
forward to. Now
Yeah, I actually put,
that book can be purchased on Amazon still. Is that correct?
it's not available on Amazon. It can be purchased through me,
Through
but
your
I'll send you a copy. I'll send
Oh,
you a copy.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it was I was looking at it. I wrote this in 1999.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I
What was
wrote this
I
in
doing then?
what
Oh,
were you doing?
I think I was transitioning from Cleveland to Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, to work at BMX actually, where Richard Steele was the morning guy. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, in
Okay.
'89. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In 89 or 99?
Oh, wait a minute, wait, 99. That not
Yeah.
89. 89, I
Okay.
wasn't even thinking about radio.
Okay.
Um, well, actually, I was thinking about it. I was not in it. I've
Okay.
always thought about radio, even as an
Yeah.
8-year-old with a transistor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Me too. Growing up with WVON and Herb Kent and the Wahoo Man and, you know, all those guys, talking over the music.
Oh, wow. That was so popular. And nobody complained about it then either. It was just a part
No.
of the fabric.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and some of them went a little far. They would talk like 30 seconds into the
Oh,
song,
yeah. Yeah. We
but
couldn't
those were,
record. We couldn't record it because they're talking with the cassette players and stuff. Yeah, I remember that. I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Well, we're going to start to wrap up, but you have authored 5 books, not just a uh, that radio story or novel that you put together, but you even have some children's books, I believe.
Yeah, I have two children's books, Taj Cleans the Garage and Malcolm Mows the Lawn. I don't have them here in front of me, but they're both little books. They're both books about little boys that do chores that turn
Mm.
into adventures. And those are the books that I'm reading in the schools.
Oh, great.
Um, yeah, um, because when my son was small, it was so difficult for me to find books for him to read and enjoy, so that he would enjoy reading.
Yeah.
Um, and books where he could see himself on the page.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The character is African American. Yeah, that
yeah,
helps. Yeah.
and that's an idea that has really caught on now. Is like a lot of people are writing books with that idea in
Oh,
mind.
yeah. I've
But
noticed that.
yeah, but 25, 30 years ago, well, I'll say 25 years ago, that
Oh,
wasn't a
no, it
thing.
wasn't a thing. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
wasn't a thing. So I wrote those two books. Before I wrote, let's see, was this the first one? Um, Yeah, this was the first one. The second one is a coffee table book called In Celebration of Rochester. I was hired by the Chamber of Commerce to be one of
Hmm.
three authors to write a coffee table book about Rochester, New York. You know, that's the home of Eastman Kodak and also Xerox.
Oh, okay.
And
Yes.
um, and so it features the history of Rochester, New York, and a lot of the businesses. And I was one of the three writers. So I wrote that. I wrote Morning Drive to Midnight. I wrote two children's books. And then this is my latest book, The Safari
Oh, I've
Girls.
been hearing about this book.
Okay. Oh, have you?
No, what when you posted that you were going to be on, I saw some ladies responding about Safari Girls, and I'm like, I hope that's a book. Or did she go on a trip with some girl? I don't know.
Is she going on a trip Monday night when she's supposed to be interviewed by me? Um, but no, this is a book that I wrote about. This book is about three women who come together for their 50th reunion of a
Hmm.
trip to Africa, and they find out that their mentor has been fired, and so the reunion takes a dramatic turn at that point.
Wow.
So these are all women of a certain age, and I wanted to write this story primarily because, um, there are women out there 60 plus. I'm one,
Hmm.
and we're thriving. We're living our best lives. We're traveling. We own our homes. Some of us are still working. We're choosing, how peaceful we want our lives to be. And, but we don't see women like that in books and in movies.
No, no.
And so I wrote this story. Yes, they have some family issues and they've got, some um, career issues and some health issues, but some people describe it as a great beach read. It's not a lot, it's not violence in there, and but it's a good story about mature women who
Hmm.
are trying to solve this mystery of what happened, 5 decades ago. And it's also based in Chicago, where I grew up.
Sounds like a very good read.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it definitely
it is.
sounds like that. Uh,
So I'm
and and
excited
that
about it. It
and
just came out.
that kind of leads me to this might be my last question. You started, was it in the 70s when you were in radio?
Yeah, around 70. Let's see, I wrote it down. I think I started at WBMX in like 1974. Yes.
Okay. What was it
Hmm.
like, or actually your experience as a woman in radio?
There weren't very many women in radio. I was on the air with, I was also at WBMX was LaDonna Tittle. Um, she was the only woman on the radio. And if you look back at the history of especially Black radio, there was usually only one woman on the air. It's
Yeah.
not like it is today. There was one woman on the air. And I some of the things that people said about women in radio, I actually wrote it in the books in this
Awesome.
book. Because one of the
Awesome.
things that one of the program directors said, that I am not mentioning any names right now, but he was saying he didn't want to hire more women in radio because listeners don't want to hear a woman's voice. They want to hear a man's deep melodic voice announcing the song. And that was his reason for not hiring more women in radio.
Wow.
He also said,
Okay.
as we're playing music, he would only play one woman, like the Supremes, Shaka
Hmm.
Khan. He would only play one woman every 20 to 25 minutes in rotation. And he gave the same reason, is that people don't want to hear women singing, they want to hear men.
Sounds kind of
So
chauvinistic.
what was it like in radio? That's what it was like.
Okay, well, thank you for your truth, because that was well, I wouldn't say that was the overall mindset, but at least this one particular leader or executive made that decision based on his own mindset.
But that's how leaders make decisions, right? On their own mindset.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
look at the shape of our country today. It's,
Ooh,
it's the mind, it's a mindset.
yeah, it is. It is.
It's a mindset. But no, there were but you heard all the stories, because hip hop was coming in at that time, and so you heard all the stories about how hard it was for women to break in and things like that.
Yeah.
And um so you just, everybody just, you just keep pushing. You keep pushing.
Hmm.
And things turn out. They do turn out. And now I listen to radio. I hear lots of women on the air. I hear them, commanding, um, their time slot. I, you know, I hear that my daughter is always telling me about all these women DJs that are spinning at the parties and everything,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
ones that have the reputations, the ones that really know how to get the party going. So it's we've come a long way, baby.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And that's why I wanted you to share because some some young people don't know how far or how much ground has been made, from one era to maybe several more eras ahead, you know.
Hmm.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I put together this format because I think some of the best years of my career were before this time.
Mm,
And you know this, those years will never come back.
no,
They'll never come
no.
back. So what I can rest assured to say is I'm so glad I experienced that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really interesting just to see, the advancement, how the trajectory has moved,
Yeah.
and all the differences now. Um, and because you talk about iHeartRadio for the longest time, I'm like, what is iHeartRadio? They're everywhere.
The
But you're
monopoly.
they're a monopoly.
Yeah.
They're a monopoly. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, we were bought. WBMX was owned by Sonderling Broadcasting. I have
Hmm.
no idea if Sonderling is even in the business now. You know.
I don't even know. I remember hearing them when they took over.
Hmm.
Um, hadn't heard of them again. Now I remember GCI was under Gannett when
Yes,
I got there, and now they're under the iHeart
GCI,
umbrella.
Gannett Communications Incorporated. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just like the prophet George Benson says, everything must change,
Mm,
and it certainly does.
it
It
does.
certainly does. Well, Renee, thank you so much for sharing um, some hearty laughs, some definite memories. I just love reminiscing and even getting educated because I wasn't on the air during that era, but you
Yeah.
understand what was going on, how things operated. Um, it's very helpful for me to understand the industry now because now I know what it was like in the past, even
Yeah.
before my time in radio. Yeah, so
Right.
thank you for helping me out with that.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome. You're welcome. It was fun. It was fun,
now,
because we do compare, you know, like you were saying, so many people, radio announcers, they were in the community. They
oh
were
yeah,
out in the community.
oh yeah,
Yeah. People knew them just like they knew, the people who were in charge of the not-for-profit organization,
mm.
because they were in the community. And I'd like to see that come back a little bit more. I know there are security issues and everything else, but I'd like to see that come back.
Well, I have to give credit to leadership or management at that particular time, but everything is so corporate now. So it doesn't look the same because of it being corporate. Now, the I'll just say this and credit Marv Dyson. He's from Chicago. He
Mm-hmm.
knows about the community. So he made it a point that all of us that were on the air kept our ears perked about things that actually happened in the community that were of great significance, someone that was in trouble, or a huge news story that impacted the African American community, that we were all over it. But
Mm-hmm.
but you don't see too much of that anymore,
No,
you
no, you
know.
don't.
Yeah.
And I want to just add one more thing. I'm reading a
Sure.
great book right now, really great book. Afro Sheen by George Johnson.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Phenomenal. You know, Afro Sheen, Johnson Products Company, the first Black company to go public on the New York Stock Exchange. And he started Soul Train with Don Cornelius.
Wow. Okay.
And he also talked about how important it was to hire people, because at that time that he started the company, Black people were waiters, domestics, doormen, and he wanted, nobody would hire us. And he hired people who would wear a suit and tie every day, women who would dress up to come to work. And they helped him build the company. And in turn, he showed his appreciation to them in salaries, benefits, and giving them stock when the company went public. And it's such a phenomenal history of a company with a conscience that you just don't hear about those kinds of things anymore. So I'm
Wow.
reading this book and I'm digging it, man. It's
So it's
really
called
good.
Afro Sheen.
Afro Sheen. Yeah, remember
That's an old school product too.
Watu Wazuri use Afro Sheen. Beautiful
Yeah.
people use Afro Sheen. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Reminiscent.
Go back to Cleveland, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They have a whole Soul Train theater where
Oh,
they're
really?
just
Okay.
continuous loop, all the Soul Train shows at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
Wow. I left before let's see, what, yeah, like I say, 99 I left.
Hmm.
And that's when the flats were not developed into what it is now. You
Yes, the
know,
Cleveland Flats. Yep.
yeah. I remember those times in Cleveland. Well, Renee Pruitt, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it. Um, we'll stay connected. Now, is there any way you said that if anyone wants any of your books, that there is they'll get it through you? You have a website? Is that correct? Where they
Yes,
can
I
actually
do.
order?
Yeah, I do have a website, and they can actually um, I can give you the address. It's thepruittgroup.com, and it's Pruitt spelled Prewitt.
Got it. Got it.
Thepruittgroup.com. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Renee. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Perry.